Now let's get into the lesson. I usually do the Chinese lesson first. So it's very important when we want to remember these powerful moral lessons. We need to know how to write it. We need to know how to pronounce it. Then we keep on reciting it, and then we let the moral lesson be imprinted into our entire system. Then they are alive. Then they have the power to guide us. So moral lessons needs to be learned like that, okay? All right, so let's do. This Chinese character is very simple to write, and Shang means above. Okay. 水
上水
water. Yeah, this 水 is very, very interesting. The Chinese character writes like that. You know, Chinese character depict the shape of things. Now 水, where is the shape of the water? How to depict the shape of the water? You know, Japanese scientist Emoto put a drop of water under the microscope and lower down the temperature of the drop of the water, and right before the liquid water turns into ice, he sees this image. How magnificent. You can see Chinese character actually depict the shape of the water. This is the shape of the water. And Emoto found under the microscope that during the transition from the liquid state to the frozen state, the shape of the water came right out. Very amazing, right? 知 off. 清 清
清 清
yeah, 清 I would say pure and clear. That's called 清, yeah. Okay, let's read. 上
上
水
水
之
之
清
清
上水之清
上水之清
The water above, you know, the purity of the water above. That's how it goes. You know, the Chinese way of expressing, Korean way of expressing the ancient traditional way is that, you know, it goes a little bit reversed. The purity and the clarity of the water above. Okay. 西呀下
下
below. Okay, 下
下
水 As I mentioned that the shape of the water, you know, under the microscope during the transition is this shape. Now Emoto also did some very interesting experiment after that. He actually treated the water with music. And when the music is rock and roll, the water, when it goes through the freezing process and turn into, you know, the ice, the shape is scattered and shattered and ugly. When the water is treated with classical music, traditional value, right, energy, classical music, the water will display beautiful, crystals. And the complexity of the music corresponds to the complexity of the shape of the crystals. It has usually has six corners. So it's called 六角水. Yeah. So when the water put in the bottle labeled with words like I love you, the water's crystal is very beautiful. If the water bottle writes I hate you, the crystal cannot form. The water crystal cannot form. Very, very kind of, shattered. So Emoto, basically through his water crystal experiments, says a very important truth about water. Water is alive. Water actually we see as if it's just a matter. It's water. We drink, we wash, and we take everything for granted about water, but actually water is alive. And so, as a matter of fact, the also very important truth about water is that our body, I mentioned that, our spirit is buried in the molecular, layer. Now the molecules that truly consists of our human body, we know that there are, right now modern science call them protein, lipid, nucleic acid, sugar, right? All these molecules, we consider to be those biological large molecules. Those are the subject of the studies of modern science of different group, such as molecular biology, biochemistry, genetics, right? All those subjects, people are studying the molecules of the body and dissecting the molecules of the body. However, as a matter of fact, people don't understand that actually all these molecules, they all eventually can be reduced to water. Now, besides all those, complicated biological big molecules like protein, nucleic acid, lipid, and all that kind of stuff, actually, if you really look at the amount of water in our body, it probably consists about 70%. So our body primarily is really water. And as a matter of fact, in the spiritual teachings, all profound spiritual teachings all relate water to life. Actually, the origin of life. As a matter of fact, all life, if you reduce to its fundamental composition, actually it's water. Yeah. So this is a very important truth about the water that we should know. When we teach about the moral, about this kind of profound morality, and actually has a lot of high spiritual inner content as well. Okay. So 知 again, it means off. And again, we write it again. Sorry. 清. Yeah. 清. Write it again. You see, writing Chinese characters is a lot of fun. Keep on practicing writing Chinese characters. People after retirement in America, I recommend people after retirement learn Chinese. Because when you learn Chinese characters, when you learn the four tones, proper pronunciation of it, and how to write it, and one day I will also introduce calligraphy. I just ordered the brush of calligraphy. It's gonna arrive, and we're gonna be able to also start to write everything in calligraphy format. It is a way, I think, of cultivation in our daily life. I recommend American general public to pay attention to study the art of Chinese language, Chinese characters, and because the Chinese characters, every character depicts a very profound spiritual meaning. The Chinese character, the sound and the structure of the Chinese character actually, in every regard, connect with our universe. That's why every Chinese character has inner power. That's why very profound spiritual messages can be depicted and contained in such simplicity. If I use English language to try to, display the inner meaning of these 8 Chinese characters, I can talk days after days after days about what's really going on here. And I will still not be able to cover all the messages that this, 8 Chinese characters, is able to deliver into our mind. It's really not 8 Chinese characters because look at it. It's because 上 below, above, 下 below, 水 is water, 清 is clarity and purity, 知 is off. We're only talking about the 5 Chinese characters in every regard. The 5 Chinese characters is sufficient to carry such a very deep spiritual message that if you recite it properly in the Chinese language pronunciation and you know how to write these Chinese characters, the deep inner contents, it's like a huge package of energy that enters into your system, and you will be able to carry that all the time throughout of your life, and it will actually really change your whole perspective about life too. Pause.